dog's name, Jake? I don't think you ever told us.
My dog, my blind dog's name is Bruce. Because when we actually first got him, he was named Batman because he was like black and white, and so we just named him
Whoa.
Bruce because of Bruce Wayne. And then our other dog's name is Ferguson.
Yeah, yeah, but that doesn't play out. You should name him Daredevil.
Yeah, yep. But yeah, Bruce. I think Bruce is so funny for like a little dog. It's like such a tough name.
Yeah, I know. Like Fluffy the Pit Bull or something like that.
Bats are boy. That's so funny. Bats are blind too. I did never have made that connection, but that's hysterical. I guess that was bad juju for him.
Well, Daredevil's blind too.
Yeah, that's true.
So you should name him Daredevil.
That's so funny. All right, well, it's 11:02, so we'll kick things off. Maybe people will trickle in as the time goes by, but yeah. So, just sort of like a spoiler alert. There's no like major dev updates. Um, in the last week, there's some marketing things, some dev updates, but the big thing is the hackathon. So if you were here for last week, this dev office hours is going to seem pretty similar. But you know we'll blaze through it anyway. So, welcome to May. First of all, what is it? May 1st? Yeah, welcome to May. Um, Marketing ecosystem updates. One, I think the biggest one on the marketing side is this Bankless episode. I would really encourage anyone who is just interested in story or interested in critiquing story to check out this Bankless episode. This series or this podcast series tends to be less bullshit and more like transparent, more real, more criticism. So it's great to hear our co-founder Jay Z talk about story again in front of an audience that's less bullshitty. So that was really cool. And we also released a whole critiques guide to story, which basically, actually, you know what? I'll show that on the live stream because I think it's really helpful to look at. Let's actually go to the story Twitter. And if we scroll down, we can find this sort of critiques guide to story right here. It walks through basically every like major critique of story or like major comment that we've got from the ecosystem, and kind of just discusses why that critique makes sense, what we're doing to make it better or worse, whatever. So I would really recommend checking it out. I'm actually going to add it to the slides here. Because again, I think it's pretty important. So I'm just gonna add that right here in case anyone wants to check that out. Because I always link the slides after, so you can access that right here. Oh yeah, great point. Let me send that in the chat as well. There you go. I'll take a little nice screenshot as well, so we can include that in the slides. Cool. So yeah, definitely recommend checking that out. On top of that, it was also World Intellectual Property Day. Welcome, Young Series. Thanks for joining. Also, welcome, Nat. Good to see you too. But yeah, so it was World Intellectual Property Day on April 26th. Not gonna lie, I never even knew that it existed, but now I do. And obviously, intellectual property matters a whole lot for us here at Story. So yeah, that was cool. Also, welcome John Legend to Story. Every week we like to talk about the new artists and new famous celebrities that are joining the Story ecosystem. And John Legend is this week's most recent. So his song Water Slide is now being fractionalized on Story. Woo, the Build-a-thon, which is the most important for me and for all of you, I think. We officially announced that on April 29th. So there it is. Boom. Officially announced. And on top of that, actually, there's a whole blog that we can check out too if we go here. We wrote a whole blog on everything you can expect from this build-a-thon. I will also link that in the chat here. I highly recommend and encourage everyone in here to sign up for it, because... Oh, thanks, Wannabe. Yeah, who thought of all the curve... Yeah, so that's, I have to admit, our marketing team is very creative, but I think actually it was our events lead that was like, you know what, like real world assets, why don't we go with surreal world assets? And then it got kind of trippy, and then it was like, let's just do a little style that's very trippy. So I think that's how that kind of came about. But yeah, I would definitely recommend checking out this blog to get an introduction. Again, there are technical and non-technical tracks, so you can click apply here, and fill out this form. And I would love for you to fill out that form. So LSD is required. That's one of the prerequisites of submitting a track. So we require video evidence that you are currently on LSD. You can, yeah, yep. $500 in API credits available to anyone who is on hallucinogenic drugs. All right, on to the developer, onto the developer updates. Onto the developer updates. So, one thing I wanted to briefly mention is reworked royalty docs. So this is actually one part of a more major sort of overhaul with like servicing better royalty docs. Actually, glad that you're here, G. So one thing I'll show here, let me actually walk through it, is in this guide section, if you go to protocol concepts and modules, you can go to the royalty module. One thing I don't like about this is I personally feel that the licensing module, royalty module, and dispute module are like major components of our, I guess like developer ecosystem, and they're kind of hidden under modules. So I'm trying to figure out a way to better surface these key ideas at a higher point. However, if you walk through this whole royalty module, so I'll put this link in the chat as well, this is now, in my opinion, much clearer than before, because it walks through a full example step by step and explains every single part of it. So I think it's actually really nice now. And we also have better docs on our royalty vault. This sort of dives into, again, if we look at this whole diagram, this is like, one example of royalty flow. But the royalty vault sort of walks through that last step of how do we get money from the vault that we receive into whoever has the royalty tokens, right? So this walks through sort of like if we scroll down, a default case where, the IP asset by default has all the royalty tokens, and then gets to an example where, what if we want to look at where, an external wallet has like 5% of those tokens, right? And what does that flow look like? And then even, taking it a step further is what happens if, the external wallet who owns the IP asset actually has full holdings of the royalty tokens. So in this case, you can see that we're now completely surpassing the IP account, and all tokens are actually going to the IP owner. And we include working code examples that I added along with this, so that if you're using the SDK, you can see code snippets of how to actually transfer royalty tokens to that last wallet. So anyways, just longer royalty docs. Also, I updated both of the royalty policy docs, so this is also much clearer in my opinion. Better explains, how the actual LAP contract gets involved, and how it splits revenue to its ancestors, and then the liquid relative percentage is the exact same documentation, just with different, explanations for why it splits it that way. So this is sort of like updating the guide section, but we also want to make it more clear for developers. So I'm planning on adding some sort of page. I don't know if it should just be an extension of the, royalty page here in the SDK, which I actually already think does a really good job of walking through the royalty claim, but, we might update this page more to make it even more clear. So anyways, just wanted to walk through that whole royalty sort of overhaul. Will there be staking rewards for royalties left? Wait, will there be staking rewards for royalties left on chain? I'm not sure how to answer that. I guess, what does royalties left on chain mean? Oh, unclaimed. So I don't think so, but right, like exactly like G said, the royalties that are claimed can be staked on Vario. All right. Also wanted to mention that our docs are now completely translated in native Korean language. So if you actually go to that link, every single page is fully translated in Korean language. So, I thought that was pretty cool. We have, obviously we are very focused on the Korean markets, because, Korea is the, entertainment capital of the world, Squid Games being a prime example of that. And so, so we're really excited about this. Yes, and also so that you, Robert, can now understand the docs. Exactly. All right. Next update, which I haven't yet released in the main announcements channel because I wanted to let the Build-a-thon surface. But so the Python SDK v0.3.14 is officially released. So this includes a bunch of new permission functions, a new dispute function, wrapped IP function updates, much more functions to the group module, and royalty functions as well. We covered this in the last developer office hour, so I won't dive too far into it, but that is officially released now and on our docs. So if you're using Python, lots of new stuff for you. HumanBots, first of all, what's up, HumanBot? Good to see you. HumanBot says, bro, how about IP games? Like, imagine using Mimboku character in Subway Surfers and creators are earning. Yeah, that's exactly, sort of the point of story, right? Is to better license IP out so that other people can integrate them into their apps. Ramses says, may be to add this as option while registering IP and licensing it, auto vario vault. Oh, that's pretty cool. I think we can't really take an opinionated stance via our protocol as to where to stake, but I think that's a really good feature request for something like our SDK, or even what would be really cool is if someone as a project, maybe even for the Build-a-thon, deployed a smart contract that registers IP and then auto stakes its rewards on Vario. So if someone wants to build that out for the Build-a-thon, I think that would be a really cool submission for our IP-Fi track. So that's a great suggestion. I'm going to give that a 100, a this, and a fire, and a thumbs up, because that is great. And for those of you in the live stream, we're talking about the Discord chat. I'll also give that a bicep, too. There we go. And a sound, perfect, and a sound effect. Remember, people, you should always announce the emojis used via voice for exactly. I'm gonna give that a 100, a fire, a Keck W, a joy, and a mushy Keck. Awesome. All right, let's move on to the next portion. Next up, we have the TypeScript SDK release, v1.3.1, coming tomorrow. So we have been talking about this, I think, for the past 4 weeks, and it's finally here. So, coming tomorrow. So here are the planned updates. Maybe a little boring, but we added a batch register function. Okay, I'll just walk through the things that I think are the most important. We added a get licensing config to the license module. This I've been requesting for months because I think it's actually a really good way to, via the SDK, easily get the licensing config for an asset. So that's very important. Another thing I think is very important is set token URI. This is a function in the NFT module that will allow you to update NFT metadata. So very important. And on top of that, let's see. Other than that, I think it's just a bunch of group, module functions, which personally I haven't used the group module that much, so I'm not as excited about those. But definitely good to have support for our group module. So that is very nice. And yeah, this batch register function, not gonna lie, is mostly for our portal, but you can definitely use it as well. So yeah, and I think there's going to be better ways, I think in a SDK version that we're releasing in a month or so, we're going to make the registration process way more simple anyway, because right now it's there's 15 different functions to register IP, so we're combining it all into one, and then, the batching will be easier anyway. Cool. Yeah. All right, so now moving on to these real world assets. We talked about this actually last week. So again, if you were here last week, you already know this, but it's officially announced. So this is going from May 20th to June 26th. This is a month-long virtual, actually a little bit more than a month-long virtual hackathon for IP, crypto, and AI. Here are the tracks. So this is the most important. I'm actually going to move my... I'm going to move my camera for the live stream because you can't really see. Okay. So there's a couple tracks here. There's non-technical /creator, This is for people who want to, I guess, like create, like they want to specifically explore a product definition. So if you're not a coder and you can't make an actual project, this is for people who want to do market research and trend analysis. They want to make PRDs, and they want to spend a month sort of formulating an idea and doing research on it, and basically coming up with the next killer IP idea. So that is for that track. Now, again, all of you in here that are not technical, I would love for you to explore this track and submit for it. So that would be awesome. The next one is AI agents. We've done this track many, many times across a bunch of different build-a-thons. And basically, this is for anyone who wants to integrate Story's ATCP/IP infrastructure into an AI agent. So the ability to negotiate, transact on, that kind of thing, register training data as IP, anything AI agent related. The next is creative front-end/UX. Personally, this is the one that I'm most excited for because I think it's the most like, like creative, for lack of a better term, and it's very design-oriented. So this is for people who are design-oriented, want to make a sort of beautiful front end that registers IP. So it should look nice. It should be, have a good aesthetic. It should almost be like, basically, like what I'm imagining is sort of like a ChatGPT front end. Actually, maybe like I'll show Claude, I guess. I don't know. But like a Claude front end where, whatever. But you get you've all been to ChatGPT. But basically like a ChatGPT front end where you can automatically, register inputs and outputs of, AI. So for example, like creating a ChatGPT wrapper front end where every time someone says make a Studio Ghibli, picture of me, it registers the output as IP and pays back to Studio Ghibli, right? Something like that would be super slick. Yeah. Next part, IP detection and enforcement. So this is for people who want to build upon Story's attestation service. So people that want to build, services that detect IP infringement, that review IP and see if it's infringing. Again, this is like AI-powered watermarking and detection, decentralized copyright infringement scanners, and maybe predictive monitoring agents for brand IP protection. Basically, anything that helps with IP detection and enforcement. And if you want to look more into that, I would definitely recommend you go to the Story Attestation Service, which I'll send in the chat here, because this basically walks through that entire process. All right. Next track is IP Marketplace Innovation/IP-Fi. So this is really just anything IP-Fi. So fractionalization of IP assets, Ramses suggested earlier. This is auto staking on Vario, IP rewards. Maybe DAOs that sort of govern certain IPs, anything IP-Fi related. This last track is something that I actually came up with because of you, Robert, and also just think it'd be really cool to have on Story, is a data track, but also this is sort of like a search track. So this is the ability to build tools that register, protect, and monetize data sets as programmable IP. So again, sort of tying back to AI, training data sets, but also, creating sort of like search infrastructure to discover data sets and discover IP. So optimizing for search and discoverability, creating indexing solutions, developing whatever. And if you want to learn more about these tracks, you can go to the Encode page, which I just sent to the chat, and there is a whole section right here that shows all the different tracks. And this is like the official tracks here. So a little more updated than the slides. Are there any category statistics, even ballpark, on the breakdown in total SP registered IP assets between image, music? No, we don't, unfortunately. No, we do not know. We know the total number, but yeah. All right, and for each track, there will be $5,000 in prizes for each of those tracks, $3,000 in initial cash prize paid out in IP, and $2,000 in additional marketing costs and community incentives for you to bring that product to reality in the Story ecosystem. And on top of that, there's also a bunch of other bounties that we have. You can see up here, these are all of our supporting partners, and each of them has their own bounty and special thing that they're doing. Tomo's giving out 10K, Crossman's giving out 1.5 in their credits, Yokoa's giving out 2.5 thousand, D-Bridge 5,000, lots of other stuff. Why is Ippy? Wait. What happened to Ippy? Where did you see Ippy? Oh, I think Ippy's on, you know, hallucinogenics
Skill
here.
issue.
Yeah. I think Ippy took some of that LSD we were talking about earlier. Ippy's in the clouds. Where are those amounts for the bounty shown? I don't see them. Where? On the surreal page? Oh, here. Here we go. So it's $5,000 per track. Oh. Oh, you have to scroll down. They're under the partner bounties. Yes, yes. Scrolling is uniquely important. And here's the schedule. We have opening ceremony. We have workshop week. We have tons of stuff planned. Actually, if any of you are in London, there's an IRL meetup that's going to happen in London during the hackathon. Andrea, our president's going to be there. Tim, one of our DevRels, is going to be there. Yes, absolutely want to be. So, if you sign up for the hackathon, you'll be able to go to all of the workshops and events, even if you don't have to submit, even if you don't want to submit a project. Of course, we would love for you to submit a project, even if it's as simple as, even if you're not going to win, it would be really cool to, see any ideas you have for IP projects and stuff like that. But yes, workshops will be open. Yeah, definitely. I believe credits is actually like they're like sort of like, for example, like with Crossmint, like you have to pay money to like get premium features, but they're offering those premium features. Yeah, exactly. Cool. So that's it for today. Does anyone have any questions? Duck noise. All good? All right. Good. I would call this a major success then. All right. So, you know what? We will end things there. Thanks everyone for coming. And next week, we will have as always, we'll have this at the same time. And we'll have even more updates for all of you. So, Wannabe said, have been to Emergence Community Meetup yesterday. Are you following what they're building? No, I mean, well, that's really cool, first of all. No, I know what they're up to, but I'm curious how you thought that was. Was it fun?
Well, yeah, long story short, it was kind of cool. They're still working towards developing their Atlas IE, through which they want to gamify the whole decentralized story writing process. They want to somehow implement the decentralized writing into the game. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but I guess what they've already done for the past months, they were showcasing ability for people interacting with the AI to search stuff with keywords and NFTs and data and interact with their story with kind of like already gamified way, but not 100% what they are going for. So yeah, the work is going still, but it looks very exciting. I'm not, I wasn't keeping my eye on them for that long, maybe a week. But yeah, I want to explore Emergence a little bit more. It looks very interesting.
Very cool. That's very cool. Thanks so much for sharing. Yeah, I'm definitely fine. I remember when they initially like launched their website, I joined one of the tribes, and I told everyone to join my tribe too. I wonder how that tribe's doing. I hope they host some sort of like competitions. Not yet. Okay, yeah, we're still we gotta wait. Yeah, I also saw that David Goiter also like was talking a lot about the story on a recent podcast, but I forget where that link was. I just saw it on Twitter. Yes, yes, the human concept. Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your Thursday. Have an even better Friday, and the best weekend. So, take care, and I will see you next week. See you, everyone.